Okay, so I think I got it working. What's going on, guys? Phil the Gamer here, coming at you with a live broadcast. And hold on, new window. Okay, so let me type in the chat here. YouTube. My channel. Video manager. Okay, so it should be working. Okay, so it should be working. Okay, so it should be working. Let me go ahead and turn my volume down. Okay, so let's go ahead and get started with this first impressions. So last week on Friday, I bought a Mac Mini, and I know that some of you guys are going to be groaning, and I understand that. It went against my better judgment. It went against all the things that I knew, all the downsides to Mac, but I wanted to give it a try. And here are my first impressions. So I went to the Apple Store, purchased a Mac Mini, and it was about $500. It was the baseline configuration of the Mac Mini, and believe you me, these specs aren't impressive. When I looked into it, so what you get for half a grand is a dual core i5 with or running at 1.4 gigahertz, and I believe it turbo boosts up to 2.6. You get a 5400 RPM drive, 500 gigabyte drive, and a 4 gigabytes of RAM and Intel HD graphics 5000. So yeah, you can already tell right off the rip, this is a potato machine. And man, it's just like $500 for that. Okay. But upon taking it home, opening up the box, plugging the computer in, and actually using it, it was a dream. And I absolutely love using OS X. Okay, I want to get the positives out of the way. OS X is fantastic. It really is. It is so simple and easy to use. I really didn't think it could get much more simple than using Windows 10 because I thought that software was so like intuitive and easy to use. Like I've been a Windows user my whole life, and I thought Windows 10 it is the best version of Windows since 7. Okay, um, and I didn't think it could get any more simple, but it is, and I'm glad that I was proven wrong. The learning curve for OS X was very short. I think it took me about 2 days to get the hang of things, and I was using this computer like as if I had been using it my entire fucking life. It's very, very easy, and I like that about the computer. And let's talk about the software that you get in the computer, what comes with it. Let's talk about iMovie. Now, my first impressions of iMovie were way back in 2011 when I was in high school. I was a freshman, and it was beyond underwhelming. I thought this program was way too basic, really, to do anything, and I wasn't impressed at all. And it kind of left a bad taste in my mouth. But since then, Apple has stepped up their game when it comes to iMovie. It is so simple and easy to use, yet it is so robust considering that it is free and it comes standard in every Mac. You are able to use multiple audio tracks, which Windows Movie Maker does not allow you to do. If I wanted to add a beat to a commentary, I would have to do that within Audacity. It allows you to do overlays. So if I want to show you a picture, I don't have to interrupt the gameplay completely. I can just use it as an overlay. There's animations. There's there's color correction. There's all these features that I didn't think would be included in a free software, but yet it's included in iMovie. And for that, this program takes a steaming dump on Movie Maker. Now, I've defended Movie Maker in the past, saying you can make really decent content with Movie Maker. I've been using it for years, and I pretty much know the ins and out of the program. And you can see with other YouTubers like Rags, who uses Windows Movie Maker, you can see the quality and the time put into his videos, and he's using Movie Maker. Okay, so you can do good stuff. You can do good stuff with Movie Maker. It's just that iMovie can do those things natively. It has all those features in the software itself. There's really not a lot of workaround that you have to do. And yesterday's video and the video before that were edited on iMovie. And so I was very much impressed with the software that it comes with. And for that, I feel like Mac and Apple in general, they give you better tools to start with than Windows does. Their tools are more robust than Windows. So I think that's really awesome. And I think the operating system that Mac runs is fantastic. And if I keep this computer, which I probably am going to, it'll be because it is so simple and easy to use. My problem with the Mac Mini is the hardware, okay? So like I said, I bought the baseline configuration of the Mac Mini, and this thing is a potato, okay? And for editing, even though the actual act of editing, scrubbing through the timeline, cutting video, it was all running fine until I started exporting my videos. And I only managed to get that one video out of it before I was like, I can't use this. It's taking too much time to export videos. It's failing half the time. It won't even render or export my videos. And when it does, I have to sacrifice the quality by turning down some of the render settings, which is something I'm not willing to do. Okay, so I took it back to the Apple Store and I exchanged it for the mid-tier model. And again, these specs aren't very impressive. It has a 1 terabyte drive running at 5400 RPM, 8 gigabytes of RAM, Intel Iris graphics with 1.5 gigs of video RAM. It has a what else does it have? I can't think of the other features. But when you look at the specs on paper, it is so much more compelling than the baseline configuration. And it really seems as if that is the configuration that Apple wants you to buy, which is kind of scummy to me, because here you have this almost useless computer for $500, for $500,000. And they're like, this is an option for $500, but you can get this model, which is so much better. And I'm like, that's so fucking scummy. That's so, like, I hate that. But I did exchange it for the mid-tier model, and let me tell you, like, it's so much better than the baseline. And that's why I'm thinking this is the one they want you to buy. If you're going to buy a Mac Mini, they want you to buy the mid-tier model. They don't want you to buy the baseline configuration, because they know it's a piece of crap. They know that you're going to be underwhelmed with the performance. And I just find it incredibly scummy. Now, as far as the performance on the mid-tier model, it is vastly better. Yesterday's video was edited on the mid-tier model, and my render time was like 5 minutes, and that was great. And I was pleased with the video quality. Like I said, the software is fantastic. The software is easy to use, and I really enjoy using it. And the performance is much better. I believe this computer has a 2.8 gigahertz Intel dual core i5 running at 2.8 gigahertz. It has a Intel Iris graphics with 1.5 gigs of RAM. I think I already went over that. But yeah, it's a lot better. It's a lot better. But again, it's still an underwhelming computer when you compare it to others in its price range. For the same price that you can buy a Mac Mini, you can buy a traditional Windows PC with much better specifications, and it would annihilate this Mac Mini. It would absolutely annihilate it. And you can get an equally spec'd PC for like less than half the price, maybe even a little bit better. Okay. But yeah, my biggest problem with Apple is that they make products that I like using. Like I said, I love using the software. I also have an iPhone 7 and an iPad Mini, and I love using those products. But their prices are just absolutely ridiculous. And it's so hard to justify purchasing a Mac when you can get something else that's way better. Um, but yeah, I don't even know where I'm going with this, guys. Let me start that over, okay? Apple makes decent products. Decent. Decent products. Okay. Their products work well. Their software is very well optimized. It's very simple to use, but their prices are just out of control. And it's almost as if they don't even look at what their competition is doing. They don't see that their competition is offering a product that is equally spec'd for way less money, or they don't see that you can get a traditional Windows PC that would destroy their computers for the same price. Like, and it's like they're unwilling to change their prices. Um, and that's sad. And one thing that I've always noticed about Apple is that they've always marketed their computers as the everyman's computers, or as the everyman computer that anybody can pick up and use, and it's for people that just want to be able to use their computer. Okay, so by that logic, you would think that they would be priced accordingly, but these computers are really priced for the elite, and that's what bothers me. It's so frustrating that they are so unwilling to change their prices, that they're so unwilling to take it down a notch, to make a product that aligns with their prices, or to make a product that aligns with the appropriate price. Okay, I believe that the mid-tier Mac Mini should be $300 or $400, 300, 400, maybe $450, not 700. For 700, you could have included a quad core processor. You could have included a 7,200 RPM hard drive. You could have included a lot more for that price. And if you had those things, I maybe would be a little bit more lenient on this thing. Yeah. And here's something that I forgot to mention. The Mac Minis are non-user upgradable. They used to be back in like 2012. You could open up the bottom and you could change out the RAM. So if you had a 4 GB model and you weren't satisfied with the performance you were getting and you wanted to upgrade the RAM, you could do that. It was just popping off the bottom and just putting new RAM in there. Now the RAM is soldered on to the motherboard and you cannot do anything. They do not want you doing anything to this computer. So you have to make sure that the model you buy, that is the model that you want. Okay. So that's a big con. Now, do I plan on keeping this computer? Yes. Okay. And here's why. Like I said, the software drives the hardware in this case. Okay. I find OS X to be very enjoyable to use, much more than Windows. I think it is much easier to get into. The learning curve is not as prevalent, and there was little learning curve getting into it. And that's something I really like. And one thing that I forgot to mention is the integration with other Apple products. Okay, so I have an iPhone 7, 7 Plus, and an iPad Mini. And to be able to use iMessage on my computer, to be able to have my iPad and my iPhone be fully integrated with iTunes on the Mac, that's amazing. because when I used iTunes on my laptop, it was almost as if iTunes was intrusive. It would take over my computer. If I plugged in my iPhone, it would just like I would get iTunes, just it would take over my screen and I'd have to exit out. And that was very frustrating because it felt like there was no way I could avoid that. If I wanted to charge my phone at my desk while I'm editing a video, it would just take over what I was doing. And that was frustrating. With this, that's not the case. It just asks me to allows the computer to trust my iPhone, or allows my iPhone to trust the computer, and it runs in the background. And that's something I really like. Okay. Email. Their email app is very well laid out, and I like using it more so than Gmail. And it allows me to use my current Gmail with that app. And I just enjoy using the computer. And iMovie, I like iMovie a lot, and I want to be able to use Final Cut Pro in the future. Yeah, so for those reasons, I plan on keeping the Mac, but I'm not going to sit here and follow Apple off a cliff like some of their supporters will. Okay, I wouldn't consider myself a massive Apple fan, mainly because I've had such little experience with their products outside of their phones. Their phones I'm a big fan of. They're just simple and easy to use, and that's all I really want a phone for. I want something to send text messages and make phone calls, and it's simple and it's easy. Okay. Plus Apple Music. Apple Music is fantastic. I would recommend that to anybody who has an Apple product. I really enjoy using that service as well. But anyway, those are my thoughts. I'm sorry if I've rambled a lot in this, but yeah, those are my thoughts on the Mac Mini. I'll see y'all later. Peace.